done. I mean, do we go through all of this over again with the debt limit come next month? I mean, these things just come one after the other.
I think not. Now, the president again says he won't negotiate over spending the government going to default. The Republicans once again say they have to get something for voting to extend the debt limit. So we'll see whether they are going to really dig in their heels. I think not. They feel that like they didn't win anything on that last year. And we'll also see whether Speaker Boehner's fed-up attitude toward the adamant minority of his caucus, which we saw at the end of last year, is sustainable. Now, there were meetings over the holidays in the D.C. area of the Tea Partiers and their allies, and they say they're girded for a fight against what they deem the Republican establishment, but mainly on social issues rather than economic issues. So I think Boehner can probably keep the government going through the debt limit with the help of the Republican business community. So that crisis is averted. Then the question is whether he can keep pushing against those Tea Partiers and their allies to do immigration reform, which he clearly does want to do.
It seems he clearly does want to do it, and what kind of chance does he have in this dynamic in the Republican Party to push an immigration bill through the House?
Well, it's going to be obviously very tough. I think if you get through the spring where there's some Republican primaries and you see if Republican incumbents are challenged from the right, if they are not, and if it looks like they are somewhat safe, then I think he probably will bring up a series of immigration bills, break it up into different bills, one on border security, one on work visas, one on amnesty, and then put together different coalitions behind each one of those bills. That's what happened, in the famous Compromise of 1850 with Henry Clay. He couldn't get it through as one great big bill, and then Stephen Douglas came through and broke it up into individual parts. California in as a free state, slavery outlawed in D.C., fugitive slave law enforced, and you got different coalitions behind different ones, and it staved off the Civil War for 10 years.
Something about Washington, you can look back even more than a century ago to history and learn some lessons. Well, Koki, speaking of potential primary fights in the Republican Party, it sounds like one person who was going to be challenging an incumbent, Liz Cheney, is set to drop out of the Wyoming Senate race. What do we know about that this morning?
She has issued